And welcome to my living room again. This is the number 12 video, or yeah, it'll, number 12 on your class. You've only got 2 more to go after this one, so keep up the hard work. I was very impressed with all the responses that I've gotten after the last video, and I'm really glad that you guys are keeping up. The topic we're going to talk about today is called touch. But there's some other things I wanted to talk about first. I hadn't really thought of it. I was worried that some of these topics don't have a lot of information for me to teach, and this is one of them. So we're going to add some extra topics in there and extra discussion. Normally in the class, our materials last about 30 minutes, and then the other 30 is spent, talking about homework and other things that everybody wants to talk about and such. So I'm going to make sure that I put at least 30 to 40 minutes in here of instruction. Then the rest of it is just going to be whatever I want to talk about. And today, one of those things that I want to talk about is stress relief. I got some disturbing news that people who have addictions to drugs and or alcohols during this time right now, they're relapsing. Many different reasons. They're at home, they're not socializing, they can't socialize with others. Maybe you can't see your kids right now. And then people want to turn to alcohol and drugs to, like we talked about, to dull the pain. There's so many things. I was looking around online. I know that they're offering AA and NA classes online since people can't meet right now. If you will go out to your browser and search for AA virtual meetings online, you can find resources there to where you can keep up or maybe talk to people about what's going on with your depression, with your stress. We talk about stress. I talk about stress a lot with you guys in all the classes, just because with your kids, work or lack of work, the stress can build up, and then that stress, our kids can pick up on it. We talked about how even infants, they can tell from what we're going to be talking about. They can tell from your touch. They can tell your total presence. Are you just really stiff, full of anxiety? Try to do something to relieve that stress as soon as you see it building up. There's 2 different things that my daughter-in-law does. She has these, oh gosh, I'm not thinking real good right now, apps. 2 different apps that she has on her phone, and one of them is meditation, and another one is calming. Her calming, she's like me. The 2, we absolutely love the beach. Oh man, we love it. Last year on vacation, we had the best time. We just sat around and watched the beach, and she has one of those. It's for, it's to help her calm down. Maybe it's after she's got the kids to bed and she's just feeling so overwhelmed, and she does the meditation, she does, the calming, and it helps her relieve a lot of stress. That goes into, I've not been hammering on you guys about taking care of yourself. We can't talk about it right now. If you want to share that information by texting me, that's fine. Go right ahead. Oh yeah, probably need to mention that. I'm going to try to explain everything that we're doing. The less phone calls that I have to make, that's less money that the house has to pay me. So once again, at the end, there's going to be 4 test questions this week. Write those down on a piece of paper. You just have to write the answers. Text one of those photos to me, and then text or email that the same picture to Frankfort Sunshine Center at gmail.com. And if you would do me and the director a favor, we didn't think about this, but some people have email addresses that don't have their names as in there on the subject line, put your name, your first name, your last name. If you're watching this with a boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, put both your names in that subject line. And it makes it a lot easier for she and I to mark people off on the attendance sheet, and making sure that we don't leave anybody out. As a reminder, if you haven't sent that picture through text or email from last week, please do that today. We had a deadline of Monday. We kind of gave everybody an opportunity. It's and if it was a day late or something, that's fine. It's going to be a little stricter this week. Trying my best to get all the videos to all my classes done on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday with a due date of every Monday. I'm still going to send you all texts letting you know that they're ready. But anyway, they're out there. Let's see, the next topic I wanted to talk about. When we talk about touch, everybody has what they call a touch history. Having said that, there are 3 different kinds of touch. Let's see, got my wrong notes in front of my face here. I don't do good with the script. I told you all that, but I am getting better at writing notes. But the 3 different touches are hurting, scary, and nurturing touches. Maybe in your touch history, you can remember those 3 different types. A scary touch, maybe somebody grabbed your arm and it hurt. Maybe it was a sexual touch. Anything that just scared you. And then after that, every time you saw that person, you're just really, really scared. Remember that history. I know it's hard, but when we remember history, we also remember what not to do. Don't grab your child, like that when you're angry, when you're mad. Touch to them. You come at them the next time and you just want to rub on their shoulder. They're going to jump. They're going to tense. They're going to stress. Be careful. Don't do that. Catch yourself first. You want to talk about a problem, a situation that's happened, while you're talking to them, massage them on the back. The world's not coming to an end because they dropped a bowl of Cheerios on the floor. It seems like it at the time because we're so tired, we're so stressed, we've got so much worry right now, with incomes, how long is this virus going to last, and be careful with your touch. Another touch is a hurting touch. That goes into what I was talking about. They remember when they were touched that it hurt. My mom loved to do this. My mom didn't like me very much, but she'd always grab me by the back of the hair. My ex-husband, his favorite way of physical abuse was to choke me. I cannot stand anything on my neck now. Can't do sweaters that come up here. Can't do any of that because that memory, I don't think it's ever going to leave me. So I just don't do it. But those are things, scary touch, hurting touch. They kind of work together in some ways. But the other touch, that's more like what we're going to talk about today. It's nurturing touch. Let's see. When we talk about nurturing touch, a lot of these things that we're going to talk about are different touches that adults like to receive as well. My boys, when they're giving me encouragement and they rub on my arm and pat me or whatever, it's encouraging me, it's love. Those are the kind of touches that you want to use with your children. Teach your children about touch. There's so many horror stories of what horrible people do out there and touching our children. teach them in an appropriate way to talk about things like that. You may talk to a therapist or a counselor, or just go out online and Google information about the best way to talk to your kids. So if they are touched inappropriately, they can come to you and tell you what's going on. Don't take the matter into your own hands. Call the police, call social work services, do whatever you need to do to fix that. But anyway, what I was going with there is that, there's a lot of things that touch, appropriate touch. It helps us with stress. Appropriate touch also helps us alleviate depression. That's the same that's with us, that's with our kids. I'm writing notes down here. Sorry about that. And I stretch a lot. But I'm just keeping up with the topics that I've covered because I'm not doing a lot of that here lately, and I'm trying to be a little bit more careful and a little bit more organized. I'm getting better. Still not perfect, but none of us are. But I'm getting better, and I have to tell you guys, I feel like the silliest person on earth sitting here staring at my computer and talking to myself, right? And every once in a while you'll see me turn around this way or whatever, and it's kind of like one of those reasons is that I have this horrible urge to start making faces at myself. If I break out in one of those, just say, oh my Lord, she's nuts. She's lost it completely. Yeah, so I do that a lot, so just to control myself. But anyway, I just threw that in there. Probably shouldn't have, but I did. The next thing we're going to talk about is going to talk about the topics on here, and then I'm going to go back and double make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. I guess another thing I wanted to talk about is sleep. That's off of the touch. That's another one of my extra topics. Yesterday, I had a horrible day yesterday. I woke up and I had a sore throat, and then I was completely exhausted and panic. I mean, my imagination completely went crazy. It's allergies. This morning, it was fine. I had to run out and do an errand Monday, and was out with all my allergens, and I hadn't been because I'd been in house, and I forgot. And I was so panicky that when I did the video for the other class, I ended up with only one question on there, one test question. And somebody texted me and they said, is this really what you wanted to do? And it was like, well, no, not really, but that's okay. I messed up. That's one of those things we messed up, I laughed about it on and off all day. And then I explained to my director that you're going to get emails that only have one answer on there. Well, that's because my brain and my imagination went overload. But that got me thinking also to some of these habits that I've been picking up while I've been home. I was exhausted yesterday. I was so tired. And I started Googling everything and the symptoms, the normal, the abnormal, and all these things. And I realized, first off, that my allergies were in overload. I also realized that I'm not getting enough sleep. I mean, check it out, people. You talking about some dark circles. I've been staying up till 3 and 3:30 in the morning on Netflix and Hulu and Stars, and it just caught up with me. I was worn out. I'm still tired. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get all caught up. So I'm trying to get back into a better time frame on my sleeping. But that also comes into play on how much sleep we need, how much sleep our kids need. I know with parents, they tell us that we're supposed to get 7 to 8 hours, and I remember, if I had a calendar back then and I wrote down how many nights that I actually got that much sleep, might have been able to mark one. But try your best to get that 7 to 8 hours sleep. You feel better when you're rested. Your stress, you think better. So you're able to remember, I'm so stressed, what can I do? You feel better, you have more energy so that you can spend more time with your kids playing and maybe exercising for yourself, and sleep is extremely important for our children. I should have gone out there and done research. I'm thinking right now you can Google it, and I'm sorry I didn't do that for you. But suggested hours of sleep for infant, for toddler, for whatever age group you get, you'll come up with something. But my boys used to get mad at me over their bedtimes. I tried to change those bedtimes as they got older. A lot of times it was just a test to see if they could handle those hours yet. Many times it didn't, so we had to go back down again. I wanted them to be refreshed. Another reason too is that when they went to bed, I could get some rest. So yeah, those bedtimes, they come in handy for yourself as well. I know with my 2-year-old, when he spends the night over here and his brother or the other grandbabies are here, I let him stay up way too late, just because I'm a spoiled Nana. Their parents haven't gotten after me yet. They let me spoil as much as I want to. Yeah, and that's one of the things I do, and I probably shouldn't do it. But anyway, follow those guidelines. If your child gets angry because you have a bedtime of 8 o'clock, that's one of those rules that it's there because you care about them. They don't like them, but enforce them anyway. And do like I did. As they age, I think they aged out of the 8 o'clock. I don't remember everything. I think maybe it was like middle school. And my oldest, he was ready, and he had complained and he had whined, and my friends get to stay up and I don't get to stay up, and this is ridiculous. And I said, you know what? I do remember this. We're going to try this. I'm going to let you stay up. I think it was like, I don't remember, maybe 9:30. And when you get up tomorrow, if you can handle that, I will know. I'll know with your temper in the mornings. I'll know by looking at you. If this isn't working, we're going to go back. And the first time around, it didn't work. He wasn't ready. I waited, I don't remember what, maybe 3 or 4 months, something like that. We tried it again, and he was fine. And I let him progress up that far. I think the latest I ever got for my kids when they were in school, just because I was a strict mom, I don't remember. I think it was around 10, because they were still in school. And that wasn't for the weekends. For the weekends, it was a lot more relaxed. I wasn't quite so throwing the hammer down and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, anyway, Google those, see what the appropriate sleep time is. Parents, get enough sleep, if you can. We talked about before, when your child's taking a nap, try to get a nap in there as well. Get some sleep. Don't drink those Energizer drinks. They are so dangerous. My oldest used to be addicted to those things, and he was at work and went into severe pain, and they didn't call the ambulance, but somebody took him to the emergency room, and he had infection from those energy drinks, and it scared him enough to where, I'm not going to say that he doesn't drink them anymore, but he's very limited. I hate that he uses them at all. I suggest people don't do it. They have so many chemicals in them that are so dangerous. People just, and from what I've heard, the stories, I've not gotten the correct information, is that, they can overdose their hearts. It's a pounding. You can feel it when your body's like this and you don't have any place to do that energy, and you're just over the top in your heart. It has to work too fast. And there's all kinds of other things if you want to Google them. Some of these topics, as we talk about them, I wish I had Googled and got you all more information. I apologize if I didn't do that. But anyway, back on topic, or on the text that we're supposed to study, we're going to talk about massage. To me, when that stood out, I was trying to think of different times that you can massage your children. As we talked about, it relieves stress. It also relieves depression. And kids feel stress. They also feel depression. One of those, and I remember with my kids, were at bath time. When you're washing your kids with the soap and stuff, whatever it is that you use, take the rag and gently massage. There's massage points that you like, having your feet rubbed, your neck rubbed, your shoulders, your back. Infants, children, they have those same sensitivity points on their bodies. When you wash them, gently just, you don't have to do that like adults get, but, just that gentle rubbing. Make sure you're relaxed and your hands, your body are relaxed. Massage their little feet. They're so cute. You can't keep your hands off of them anyway. Anyway, I need to stop there. But yeah, use massage there. Massage, I said, when you're feeding your kids. That sounds like a weird time, but feeding your kids is some one-on-one contact. They see, if you're massaging their little arms, when they're reaching to get a spoonful that you're giving them, whatever, massaging their arms, massaging their hands, smiling at them, maybe laughing. That relaxes them. It's also a good time for massaging. Those are the two main critical ones that I thought of. There's others, I'm sure, other times, even in play. When you're playing on the floor, massage those little legs. You rub them anyway, but, use a type of, a gentle for kids. And you can do that through play. I'm going to go through all the notes that I did, and I'm going to go back through the sessions and see what I've left out. We talked about our touch history. I'm going to probably touch on that a little bit more in the morning. In the morning, geez, OP people, I need more sleep. Let's see, I think I've covered that area. There's some more areas that I want to cover that come from the textbooks. Once again, I don't think these textbooks are giving us all the information that we think are important. A few people have sent me through text different topics about things they want to learn more about. The importance of another one of those that I'm going to talk about right now for a minute is your cell phones. People nowadays are so addicted to their phones. I had a friend, or we were co-workers before I retired, and I went to have lunch with her one day. Now you need to think about this. I worked at state police, right? I saw all kinds of pictures. I heard stories, the horrific accidents that happen when people are using their cell phones. I think the worst one that I ever heard, and I still think about this sometimes, is that there was a car accident, and the mother was thrown from the car, and she had her phone in her hands, and she was dead. The horrible part about it, of course, that she died. That was terrible. But there was an infant in the back seat. She was talking on the telephone, not being able to pay attention really because your focus, even though you think you're focusing, those conversations can take your focus away. And that's what happened. If they hadn't come across this accident, how long would that baby have been sitting in the back seat? Could that baby have died from starvation, dehydration? It was just pure luck that they came across that accident. But don't use your phones. If you have Bluetooth that you can connect your phone to your car, even keep those brief. I still don't have conversation even though I've got Bluetooth. Sometimes I ignore it completely. But if I do answer it and it's my kids, or if I see that it's my kids, honey, I'm driving right now. Let me call you when I get home. Or if it's an important one, let me pull over into a parking lot and I'll call you right back. So Bluetooth is not really the answer, because when you're having a conversation, your focus is still not on what you're doing. And my coworker, we went, I don't remember if it was shopping or lunch or something on our break. She wouldn't stay off of her phone. I was terrified. It was like, you've heard these stories, you've seen these pictures yourself, what are you doing? And the next time she wanted me to go someplace, I said, you know what, Karen? That's great. Let's go out and have lunch together today, but I'm driving. Never want to drive again with you again. She was and she still is, severely addicted to her phone. That was a habit that I've had to get used to in my job as a case manager and also as a teacher, is that I've got to pack my phone around with me everywhere I go. I'm still not used to that because I just never was a cell phone. I was too busy. In my job, I was just busy. I was up and down and running all around and complete chaos all the time, which is kind of a little bit of what my job is now. And I just never thought about my phone. Right now in this job, it's critical that I have my phone. If a client calls me, if I get a text from somebody, and I'm trying to get used to that, carrying my phone around. But another area I want to talk about telephones is family time. And the time you spend with your kids. Go put your phone away. Put it on vibrate, turn it completely off. Your kids they want to spend time with you. They want to play with you. They don't want you to be playing something. Oh boy, we're having fun. And then you're doing this. You're scrolling Facebook. You're checking text messages. You're looking at your email. You're making phone calls. You're receiving phone calls. I know a lot of you are just on child visitations. You don't have a lot of time to spend with those kids. Then you complain because you don't, not all of you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that to be offensive, but there may be people that complain about, not having as much time with visitations as they want. Don't spend that time with your phone. Put it away. Go put it somewhere else. They learn that from you too. They're going to go to school. They're going to be sitting here playing on their phones, and they're not going to learn what they're supposed to be learning. Especially with visitations and time with your kids, when they go to bed at night, you can return those phone calls. You can return the text. You can scroll all over Facebook or what those other social media things are. I can't even keep up with all's out there now. There's plenty of time when you aren't spending time with your child that you can do that. But anyway, I was going to say family time as well. We have a thing in our family, when my youngest son's ex-wife, every family meal we had together, any activity we did together, she was like this. It drove me crazy. All my kids picked up on it too. That's your time to spend together. We have an unspoken rule that we don't do that. One night we were hanging out together, and all of a sudden Chris ran into another room, came back. He said, "Mom, I'm sorry. I had to get that phone call or I had to answer the text or whatever it was. One of his cousins had been killed. Those are different circumstances. I'm talking about your friend Molly James, that how was your day, and et cetera, et cetera. Do that later. One thing that we're learning from this virus is that you don't know how much time that you're going to get with your family. Spend time with your family, not your friends. Make it a rule in your house. It's dinner time. Put your phones in a different room. Put them on vibrate. Right now, because I get distracted easily, I've got my phone. I think it's either on vibrate or completely turned it off. I'm not sure. Because I get distracted very easily with outside things going on. And yesterday I forgot to do it. I was in the middle of doing a video and there went my phone. Took everything I had to keep focus. I had to confess to them, my phone's ringing back there. You can hear it anyway, and I'm so sorry. But, that's as much as I wanted to say about telephones. Be careful with them. Don't answer your phones, your text. Another thing that I hate, and it happens to me quite often, is when people are at a red light. They think that's the time to talk on the phone. The light changes and there I am sitting. And the whole time I'm saying, get off of your daggone phone. I've got to be somewhere. Be courteous. Please don't do that. Just don't. Made me aggravated. I think that's enough on phones. I might think about something else here in a minute. I'm not sure. There was something else when we talk about cheap games to play with your kids, or cheap toys that you don't have to go out and break bank for them to have fun. I've got two things if I don't forget the second one. One of them is I heard about, I was on a phone conversation with one of my grandchildren's nanny, and she was telling me about this game that she had taken. She had taken her grandkids, or my son had taken his kids, I don't remember. But people are putting these teddy bears up in their windows and in their lawns, on their front porches. And then parents are taking their kids for a drive, which is, right now, that's my socialization, is getting out and taking a drive. But, and counting the different teddy bears. If your child is learning how to count, he says, there's a teddy bear. You can say, one teddy bear. We found one teddy bear. The next time you can say, they got another one. I found another one. You can say, that's two teddy bears we found. Two teddy bears. It can be fun. Yeah, it's just the silly things, Another thing that I thought of too, that my boys loved, especially my youngest one, we even talk about it now, and he's done it with his kids, are table tents. Kids love them. It's cheap, it's inexpensive. You take a big, a sheet is what we used. We would put it over the table, and if I had to put two together and put weights to hold them together, nothing that would fall off and hurt my kid. But enough, I think maybe I taped them. Tape is a good thing to do. And so that all of the tablecloth was covering the floor. And we would get in there together and play games, sing songs, and pretend that we were camping out. My kids loved for me to camp out with them in our yard in the summer. And in the winter, we could pretend it was summer. That we were camping out. We would even have meals in there. Just a bowl of mac and cheese, or, whatever. That's really not a healthy food dish that we talk. But anyway, we would do things. Now, today I saw something else that parents are doing. They're making hammocks under tables. They were putting their kids in these sheets like this. And then it was a sheet. And then they were making them tight, and then making them go across the table and tying them real tight into a knot. And these kids were having a ball. You can get in there, you can swing them. Maybe this could be a good way to get your kids down for a nap. or for bedtime, just that rocking and talking to them and spending some time. But those were two cheap things that I thought about this week. Maybe you can use them as a reward system, or just they're bored out of your minds, or you're bored out, they're bored, something to do. You don't have to spend money on it. It was just a lot of fun. As I think of more of these things, maybe memories of my kids when they were growing up, I'll try to write them down and give you all some hints or whatever. Let's see, we talked about the virtual AA and NA meetings. We talked about the alcohol and drugs and how people are relapsing right now. Something else I wanted to talk about that was fun is we were talking about cooking and nutrition, better habits, more cooking your own food instead of prepackaged food. There are some ways, safe ways, that you can involve your kids in the kitchen and learning how to cook. My oldest son, every time I was in the kitchen, that kid was in there. He was a spoilt, rotten first baby, and he was on my hip. I could flip eggs. I could do whatever I wanted to with one hand. So that kind of started. I never had him around bacon grease or anything that was going to be dangerous. Here's a safety tip for all of you. When you have a pan of anything on your stove, make sure the handle of the pan is facing the back of the stove. Kids can reach up, they can hit that handle, whatever's in there, boiling water, it can get all over them. That is a habit that's so ingrained, I still do it now. And of course I have my grandchildren now, so of course I still do that. Loading your dishwasher. My youngest grandson had to remind me about this one, and it was putting your knives in the dishwasher. He was in the kitchen with me, and I always put the knives in the very, very back. But he said, he jumped back, and it was something like, Nana, that's a knife, or I don't know. And I remembered, and I said, Braden, honey, go in the living room and watch one of your cartoons. When Nana's done loading the dishwasher, then we can come back in here. But those are some safety tips in the kitchen. If you think of any others I haven't talked about, text me. We'll talk about some more. Anyway, on that one. Something else I want to talk about. We talked about the sleep and your phone, some stress relief. Oh, letting your kids help you cook. I lost my train of thought there when I went on into the safety tips. Like I said, my oldest, he was in the kitchen with me all the time. There was a few things that he wanted to help. I want to help. And so one of the ways that I taught him to help me was for scrambled eggs. We would sit on the floor, and I'd break an egg and put it in the bowl, and he thought that was so fun. So he would do it. Of course, it was a big old squashy mess and whatever, but he was learning. Then I would show him how I was putting the salt and pepper and a little bit of milk in there, whatever flavors that you like in your eggs. And then I had a whisk, and he got to whisk. And it kept him busy. It kept him entertained. He was helping Mom. And those kinds of things progressed with him. Now, you guys, that boy, he ought to be a chef. Oh, he's fantastic. He does all the cooking, which my daughter-in-law loves. My grandson, his oldest son, he loves to do the same thing. He loves to do the scrambled eggs. We teach them about the heat. There's other things that they can help you with. Maybe if you get all the ingredients into a salad, they can learn how to mix things together. There's safe things that they can do to help you. Praise them for all their help. If they crunch an egg instead of breaking it, say, oh my goodness, you tried so hard, and let Mom, let Dad show you the correct way we do it. It might take a few times, so make sure you got plenty of eggs. I think that's still one of the fairly cheap grocery items. But involve your kids as much as you can. Don't involve them with the stove. Don't involve them with hot water. There's another safety tip for the house that I've always done. is to check the temperature on your water heater. Kids get into water. They don't understand yet about the hot and the cold. They can get scalding burns. Turn your thermostat, I should have Googled that, but this is just a tip that flew out of my mouth. Google it, see what the appropriate temperatures are on your hot water heater for kid safety. I was extremely careful about that when I moved in my current place, is that the kids, I have a room it's kind of like grandchildren / playroom, and that room has its own bathroom. And that was the first thing I did, was check the hot water tank. I could see them right now being excited on having their own bathroom, and I was right. They were in there playing and goofing off and, turning the water on and off and turning the shower on and off. And thankfully, I had that thermostat turned down to where they were going to touch it and say, oh, that's hot. But it wasn't so hot that it was going to hurt them. So that's something that you might want to check into. Let's see if I can think of anything else that I really wanted to talk about before I go back. I'm going to go back and review my books. Some of this could get boring, reading word for word. I just don't want you all to miss anything. I don't want to miss anything. The thing about this subject is that there's very, very little information in my books, and I'm just going to scan and talk at the same time to make sure that I'm hitting all the important areas that they want us to hit. Let's see here. They're talking about homework assignment. That's the thing about this session, is that most everything is homework or questions and answers in the class, and we just don't have that capability right now. I will throw out some of those anyway for subjects you might want to think about, things you might want to write down and respond to. Here's one. It goes kind of back to our personal history of touch. This one is touching more on the hurting touch and the scary touch. But the question they put in here for homework, it says, I'd like to be able to touch more easily, but, and it leaves a blank. With me, anything on my neck, I can't do it. Even that freaks me out just a little bit. And it's been 19 years, right? And I still do that. Another thing to me, touching means maybe it's sexual. Maybe something, in your past, and you relate touching to that horrible sexual experience. And on that, I can't find the word right now, but while we're talking about it, that works good enough. I have a therapist. I love her to death. She's amazing. I don't go all the time now, but I do go. I give her a call if I've got memories or something that's really bothering me and I want to talk about. So guys, it's never too late. It's never too late to look for healing. Maybe there is something, if anything were to touch my neck, something, of course, I'm going to panic and I'm going to totally freak out for just a second. And then it's kind of over. But you can look at a positive, and that's what a therapist is going to help you do, is face whatever you went through. They're going to teach you different ways that you can deal with it. My therapist on that subject is that, let's talk about, that was horrible. That was in your past. We work on that all the time. We deal with it. I'm not doing this verbatim. I don't remember what all she said. But what sticks in my head is to let go of the panic and think about something good. Think about other things, how my big one is that I survived it. My life is amazing. She teaches me a lot about, this was bad, that was bad, you're a survivor. that makes me happy. If I tell myself, people have done this and that and everything else, and I survived, and this is awesome. My life is amazing. I'm a very social person, so this staying in the house is not helping me at all. but I used to not be that person, and with therapy, she's taught me. And on that line, I also want to let you all know that when the Sunshine Center is able to open up again, of course not right now. Most of our services are closed except for the essential ones, and this is essential. We have 2 therapists on our staff. They're part-time therapists. We have one that is a child therapist. So if you notice different actions and behaviors, maybe your kids are acting out more, when all this virus is said and done, it's free. Our therapist services that we have at the center are free. All you have to do is call the front office and talk to one of the ladies. Tell them that you want to get an appointment with the child therapist or the adult therapist, whichever. Maybe you need both. But get help. Get help to therapy doesn't make things go away. But with me, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, so I'm not giving you advice. What I'm telling you is what it helped me with. It helped me acknowledge that this happened or that happened. It taught me different techniques on how to deal with those things. If you have an addiction problem, maybe that's why you use alcohol too much, or maybe that's why you use drugs, is that you have these horrific childhood memories or teenage memories, adult memories. It could have been sexual, it could have been violence, it could have been psychological means that somebody tried to use on you, but it's never too late to get help. I'm 60 years old. I still talk to my therapist if I need to talk. But anyway, we also have an adult therapist. Her name is Angela. She's fantastic. She is a wonderful therapist and counselor. Call her after all this stuff is done, and all this mess is done. Don't go to Google and do these online therapy things and counseling. It's all the rage. You don't know what their certification is. Our counselors are certified. They have experience. They know what they're doing. These are free. Call our house when it opens up. Go talk to them. Go see them. When you deal with things that have happened to yourself in the past, or maybe is currently going on, and you go to therapy and they teach you how to face those problems, take advantage of that. Do that. When you feel better, you're going to have least urges to drink too much or to take the drugs. You're going to start learning that there's other things that you can do besides covering it up. Covering up, all it does is makes it worse over time. It builds and it builds and it builds. You're going to use more alcohol. You're going to use more drugs. And I know a lot of people are just, now that therapy, that's stupid, especially men. I don't know why men don't think that they need help as well, but they do. But I think that's enough that I'm going to go over with therapy. I know this one's a little bit short and sweet, but I explained why. I think I've touched everything in here. Let me make sure real quick. Like I said, these weren't very long, so it's only going to take me a second to go through to make sure I covered everything that they want us to cover. We did all of that, and that was pretty much it. They gave me 2 whopping pages of information. I guess the next thing that we need to do are the test questions. I'm better than I was yesterday, and I wrote these things down a whole lot better, made sure I covered each area, which I also need to mark that this is done. How many minutes that we're into. Okay. Anyway, question number 1. And I'm going to give you all a minute. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to read it twice, much slower for you. One way to get stress relief that we've talked about, I'll give you a little bit of hint. They come from videos. We did that one. Let's see. Let's mark that one off. And once again, there were 2 different videos that I talked about in the lecture that were ways that you can help relieve stress. What is one video and way that we talked about it? Yeah, I think I did that right. Anyway, you got number 1. Number 2, we learned that there are 2 things that touch can decrease. Things that we're feeling, things that we're going through. An acceptable touch can help to decrease those 2 problems. Once again, let me explain it a little bit better, is that there's 2 different things that I talked about in this video that touch decreases. What are those? Let's see. Yeah, I want you to do both of them. 2 different things. Here's that one. And that one. Okay, number 3. Number 3, we talked a lot about touch history. What are the 3 kinds of touch? Once again, we talked about touch history. It talked about 3 different kinds of touch. What are those 3 kinds of touch? Now we can mark that off. Now, the very last question, number 4, because I told you all there's only 4 questions this week. Number 4 is I suggested 2 different times, well, I suggested a few different times that were good times to massage your child. What were 2 of those times? Let me repeat it. We talked about how important it was for our kids to get massage. And I mainly talked about 2 different times when you're spending time with your children that you can use massage. There was 2 different times. I want you to list both of them. Anyway, this completes the video for the class number 12. Once again, with the instruction, write it down on a note paper, just the answers. Take a picture. Text me the picture at 502-352-6144, and then email that picture to frankfurtsunshinecenter@gmail.com. Make sure you put the .com in there. A few other people forgot to do that, and it was an issue, and we worked it out. Make sure that you do those 2 things. Don't wait till the very last minute. I'm firm on the due date this time. Everybody's figured out all the kinks. They know what they're doing. These are due on Monday. My advice to you, go ahead, get it done, get it out of the way so you don't have to deal with it again until next week. I'm trying to work out a system to where all my class videos are going to be available by Wednesdays because everybody has a due date of Monday. In those emails, this is very, very important. I'm going to repeat it from the first part of the video. In the subject line of your email, type in your full name. For me, it would be Sharon Thurman because my email is Nana Sharon T. I send that to somebody, they have no clue who they're talking about. Then me and Amber have a hard time on figuring out who's accountable and who's not, or done what they're supposed to do. So put your name in that subject. It could be, like for me, it'll be Sharon Thurman. If there are two of you doing the video together, put both of your names in that subject line. That helps us know who's who and what's what. If you have any questions about anything on the video, if you have topics that you would like for me to use as extra topics, text me those, and I'll make sure to include it. I'm going to run out of topics, so I need help, guys, all right? Anyway, you guys be careful out there. Pay attention to the rules. One of the things that really got me panicking yesterday over my sore throat and being tired was I had to run an absolute necessity errand yesterday. And what I noticed when I was at the checkout line is that the girl wasn't wearing gloves. And I asked her about it in a nice way. You know, she said, I don't like them. They're uncomfortable. And I said, well, if you don't have any, I've got some in my car. You know, I'll go out and I'll get you some of them. No, I don't like those things anyway. And all my panic yesterday, the one thing that stood out was that lady. She has sat there and she has checked, no telling how many people. She's touched every single one of their grocery items. They're going home. They're picking up that gallon of milk. They're picking up that can of corn. They're picking up whatever. And now that germ is on them. You know, I use my gloves to even put my groceries away. Anyway, that's just a tip. Please, you guys, be safe. Follow the rules. It's not going to last forever. So anyway, you guys be careful this week. Take care of yourselves. Do something wonderful for yourself. Enjoy your kids. Wonderful time for playtime together. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all next week.